As a self-proclaimed American dream/reality promoter, I am getting bold and repetitive about financial autonomy. Why? Because is it the only way to increase our independence triad, time, money, freedom? I believe that you can solve your own problems and crises of time, money, and freedom if you will but seek out financial truth, raise your head above the din of everyday drudgery, and set your determined gaze on that truth. In a phrase, rather than focusing on the national economy, focus on your own personal economy. Do you have an economic goal and a financial plan? Are you actually striving for a specific desired financial end result, or are you just getting by? Will you have a secure and adequate financial base when you decide to retire? During the winter holiday seasons, I always take time out to read a few books that have been waiting patiently on my shelf. Last Christmas, I read a few industrial age and Great Depression era biographies, namely Andrew Carnegie, John D. Rockefeller, J.P. Morgan, and Henry Ford. This period covers about 100 years, beginning in the 1840s through the 1940s. Many people lost all that they had and others did very well during this period. Yes, some people did well due to corruption and cheating the system, while others gained wealth due to being at the right place at the right time, but the majority did well or purely as a result of following or not following sound principles of finance, and whether or not they lived or avoided Clason's law. George Clason, author of The Richest Man in Babylon, explains that people stay in financial bondage who strive to live at a standard of living that consumes all or exceeds their income, regardless how much they earn. It is fascinating to study these men's lives. Many started out with much less innate talent or resources than you have now, but they overcame their less than favorable circumstances, and not only did very well financially, they left a legacy that we now enjoy. I do not agree with every method and every conviction held by these titans of the industrial age, but only after studying their lives and getting into their heads can I now say that I think I understand them at some level, and realize that whether I agree or disagree is not the issue. Intention is the true criteria upon which we should make judgment. Intention means much more to me than some passing social morality or legalism. To judge a man by his intention is to look into his heart. We seldom accomplish what we dream of. In fact, often we come up miserably short, but that does not change the fact that we were motivated by a beautiful dream, and that we should be judged by our intentions and not our less than perfect manifestations of those intentions. But I digress. One of the most basic concepts I discovered in the study of these great men, great meaning, impactful, not necessarily good, is that they saw the world differently than the general population. For example, one of my mentors from 25 years ago took a class at Stanford in the 1950s called Contrary Opinion. The point of the class was to prove that most people are wrong most of the time, so don't follow the crowd. What made these financial giants from the past different from us is that they did not follow the crowd, and they clearly understood the proper relationship between four economic realities: income, expenses, assets, and liabilities, concepts little discussed today in the American middle class. To better understand these concepts, I will say that there is a great distinction between those who follow the liability cycle versus those who concentrate on the asset cycle. Let me explain. The typical middle-class American seeks a good job so that they can earn enough income to qualify for as many liabilities for a Clason's law standard of living as possible, which then obligates all of their income to paying monthly expenses. This creates an impression and feeling of a high standard of living, but in reality, this process expends all income and incurs unsustainable debt and creates a very unstable personal economic position. This is commonly known as the rat race, or the liability cycle. The wealthy, or those moving toward wealth, employ a very different strategy. They begin living substantially under their means or income, then use the resultant savings to purchase assets, which in turn generates passive or residual income. The increase of income, residual income, covers a part or most of the monthly expenses, allowing the person to save and invest even more. This has huge positive psychological consequences. Still living below their earned income, they are able to purchase even more assets, creating even more residual income, and so it goes. Over time, the residual income from assets exceeds their expenses, and they are financially free. Then the residual income exceeds their earned income, and they quit their job. This wealth process I call the asset cycle. The beauty is that any person, regardless of their situation or how much damage they have caused themselves financially, can begin applying the asset cycle today and in due course raise themselves out of the nightmare of debt, low self-esteem, and destroyed dreams caused by the liability cycle. In the same way that the industrial age presented financial challenges and growth opportunities, the computer age offers similar challenges, which are even more accessible to the middle class than 100 years ago. Contact me directly to find out what's available for entrepreneurs in the most exciting time since the Great Depression.